Good evening, boys and girls. You are welcome. You're most welcome. In this session of our online class, we will be discussing about Constitution. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
today we'll discuss about Constitution of India as we usually do during Tuesdays. So we will have number of questions. So mute all.
Talk.
Okay. Let's start today's class.
Sir, you.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's start.
Bit
Okay.
low, sir.
On your screen. Okay. Please listen to. Please no talk. Okay. Let's start, sir. Who stated the following? Constitution is that body of rules or laws, written or unwritten, which determines the organization of government, the distribution of powers to the various organs of government, and the general principles on which those powers are exercised. This is stated by John Gilchrist. And John Gilchrist was a Scottish. He is also known for his book, Parliamentary Reform on Constitutional Principles. Question number 2, this is known to you. Who is called the father of Indian Constitution? Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar is known as father of Indian Constitution. On 29th August 1947, the Constituent Assembly set up a drafting committee under him. Who is called the mother of Indian Constitution? Bikhaji Rustam Kama, or simply as Madam Kama, is known as Mother of Indian Constitution. Question number 4. Name the countries which do not have written constitution. The countries are Britain, Israel, Libya, New Zealand, Oman, and Saudi Arabia. These countries do not have written constitution. How many countries in the world have written constitution? There are 193 countries that have written constitution. Example, India, USA, France, Australia, Denmark, etc. Which country wrote first constitution? The Kingdom of Sweden in 1634. Which country has the longest written constitution, or which country has the lengthiest written constitution? It is the Constitution of India. Which country has the shortest written constitution? It is Monaco. Question number 9. What do you mean by Constituent Assembly? Constituent Assembly is a body assembled for the purpose of drafting or revising a constitution. How much time did it take to make the Constitution of India? It took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to form the Constitution of India. It started from 9 December 1946 and it was completed on 26 November 1949. So dear students, some places they have written that it took 2 years, 11 months and 17 days. Now if you count from 9 December and to 26 November, it is 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. But if we do not count this 26 November 1949, then it comes to 2 years, 11 months and 17 days. But the right answer for this particular question, how much time did it take to make the Constitution of India? It is 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. Okay. When do you observe Constitution Day or Samvidhan Divas? It is 26th November. So on 26th November, we observe Constitution Day or Samvidhan Divas. Now the question is, why do we observe 26th November as Constitution Day or Samvidhan Divas? It is because on 26 November 1949, the Constituent Assembly of India adopted the Constitution of India. Question number 13. Which Amendment Act is known as Mini Constitution? This is very, very important question. I repeat once again. Which Amendment Act is known as Mini Constitution? This is the 42nd Amendment Act, 1976. Question number 14. How much money was spent to frame the Constitution of India? It is 64 lakhs, or we say 6.4 million. When was the Constituent Assembly formed? It was on 26 December 1946. On which date the Constituent Assembly held its first meeting? The first meeting of the Constituent Assembly was held on 9th December. Question number 17. When was the Constituent Assembly disbanded? It was disbanded on 25th January 1950. Now from 26 January 1950, the Constitution came into force. So the Constituent Assembly was disbanded on 25th January 1950. Question 18. Who was the first president of the Constituent Assembly? The answer is Sachidananda Sinha. Question number 19. Who was the permanent president of the Constituent Assembly? It is Dr. Rajendra Prasad. On which date Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the permanent chairman or the president of the Constituent Assembly? It was on 25th January 1947. Question number 21. Who was elected as the vice president of the Constituent Assembly on 25th January 1947? It was H.C. Mukherjee. Question 22. Who was elected as the second vice president of the Constituent Assembly on 16th July 1947? Answer is V.T. Krishnamachari. 23. Who were the vice president of the Constituent Assembly? Sri H.C. Mukherjee and V.T. Krishnamachari. Question number 24. Who was the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Question number 25. When was the drafting committee set up which framed the Constitution of India? It was on 29th August 1947. Question number 26. Who were the members of drafting committee to prepare a draft of the new Constitution? The drafting committee consisted of 7 members. They were Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as chairman, N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, Aladi Krishnama Swamy Iyer, Dr. K. M. Munshi, Syed Mohammad Sadola, and Madhava Rao. He replaced B. L. Mittal, who resigned due to ill health. And 7. T.T. Krishnamachari. He replaced D.P. Khaitan, who died in 1948. So, how many members were there in the drafting committee? There were 7 members. Now, question number 27. On which date drafting committee set up? It was set up on 29th August 1947. Who was the constitutional advisor or say legal advisor of the Constituent Assembly? He was Mr. B. N. Rao, R.A.U. Rao. Question number 29. How many members were there in the Constituent Assembly? 389 members, but this number was reduced to 299 after the partition of India. Now here you have to note few things. Here we have written 292 members represented the provinces, that is the British India, British provinces. 93 members represented the princely states like Tripura, Manipur, etc. And 4 members represented the Chief Commissioner provinces, Delhi, Ajmer, Merwara, Coorg. Now, Coorg is the administrative district in the Karnataka state of India at present, and British Balochistan. So this, if you count to 92 plus 93 plus 4, the total members is 389. Now, question number 30 is very, very important. Very, very important. Question number 30. Who represented Tripura in the Constituent Assembly? This is very, very important question, sir. Girija Shankar Guho. He represented Tripura in the Constituent Assembly. And Girija Shankar Guho was the member of the Constituent Assembly of India representing two states, two principal states, Tripura and Manipur. Who was the secretary to the Constituent Assembly? He was H.B.R. Iyengar. Which animal was adopted as a symbol or seal of the Constituent Assembly? The answer is elephant. Who was the chief draftsman of the Constitution in the Constituent Assembly? He was S.N. Mukherjee. Who was the calligrapher of the Indian Constitution? Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada. Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada. He was the calligrapher of the Indian Constitution. The original Constitution was handwritten by him in a flowing italic style. 35. Who beautified and decorated the original version of the Constitution? The original version was beautified and decorated by artists from Shantiniketan, including Nandalal Bose and Bihor Ram Manohar Sinha. Who did the calligraphy of the Hindi version of the original Constitution? The calligraphy of the Hindi version of the original Constitution was done by Vasant Krishnan Vaidya and elegantly decorated and illuminated by Nandalal Bose. Question number 37. On which date the Constituent Assembly adopted the Constitution of India? It was 26 November 1949. And on which date Constitution of India came into force? It was on 26 January 1950. The Constitution of India was ready on 26 November 1949, but the Constitution of India came into force on 26 January 1950. Question number 39. The removal process of Supreme Court and High Court judges has mainly inspired in the Indian Constitution from which Constitution? From the Constitution of United States. Question number 40. Which article of the Indian Constitution deals with the power of President to consult the Supreme Court? It is there in Article 143. Which writ in the literal sense means by what authority or warrant? It is quo warranto. Who described the directive principles and fundamental rights as the conscience of the Constitution of India? He was Granville Austin. The feature of the advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court has been borrowed in the Constitution of India from the Canadian Constitution. Which article of the Indian Constitution promotes international peace and security? Is Article 51. In India, the voting age was reduced from 21 to 18 years by 61st Constitutional Amendment Act. Question number 46. Who has the final authority to ascertain a bill is a money bill in India? It will be decided by Speaker of Lok Sabha. Question number 47. The joint sitting of both houses of Parliament in India can be summoned by the President under which article? Under Article 108. The 10th schedule, also known as anti-defection law, was added in the Indian Constitution by which amendment? By 62nd Constitution Amendment Act 1985. The 91st Amendment Act 2003 set the total numbers of ministers, including the Prime Minister in the Central Council of Ministers, up to 15% of the total strength of the Lok Sabha. Question number 50. The features of Office of Governors and Public Service Commissions in the Indian Constitution were chiefly inspired from Government of India Act 1935. Question number 51. The preamble to the Indian Constitution is based on the objective resolution drafted and moved by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Articles from 25 to 28 in the Indian Constitution deal with freedom of religion. Now, what does Part 1 of the Indian Constitution deal with? Now, The previous questions up to question number 1 to 52, this been asked in different competitive examination. And dear students, all of you will get the hard copy of the today's study material from School of Science. All of you should avail these things, hard copy. Now, question number 53, we start from very part 1 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, now be very serious and please note these things. What does part 1 of the Indian Constitution deal with? It deals with the Union and its territory. Which article defines India as a union of states? We'll describe each and every article elaborately. The Article 1. Article 1 states that India, that is Bharat, is the union of states. 55. What is the name given to the country in Article 1? That is India, that is Bharat. According to Article 1, how is India described in terms of its political structure? It is known as India is the union of states. Okay, question 57. Can the territory of India include territories that may be acquired? Yes, as per Article 1, Clause 3C. Which article empowers Parliament to admit or establish new states? Article 2. I repeat once again. Article 2 empowers Parliament to admit or establish new states. And there is a note for this. Article 2 of the Constitution of India allows the Parliament to establish or admit new states into the Union. It also covers the terms and conditions for establishing new states. Who has the authority to admit a new state into the Union of India? It is the Parliament. Under which article can the Parliament form a new state by altering boundaries? It is Article 3. So Article 3 states that the Constitution of India gives Parliament the power to create new states, change the boundaries of existing states, and change their names. Article 3. Now, question number 61. Whose recommendation is required before Parliament can alter the boundaries of the state? The President, after referring the proposal to the concerned state legislature. Does the state legislature have the power to veto boundary changes? No, its opinion is not binding. Which article provides for the amendment of the first schedule? This is Article 4. We will know what is this first schedule. The first schedule of the Indian Constitution is outlined in Articles 1 and 4, lists the names and territories of the states and union territories of India, and has been amended over time to reflect changes in the boundaries. Now, what is this Article 4 of the Indian Constitution? Article 4 of the Indian Constitution clarifies that laws made under Articles 2 and 3 regarding admission of new states and formation or alteration of existing states can amend the first and fourth schedules, including supplemental, incidental, and consequential provisions, without being considered constitutional amendment under Article 368. Not considered constitutional amendment. The Article 4 states that such laws are not to be considered amendments of the Constitution for the purposes of Article 368, meaning they don't require the complex amendment process outlined in that article. Now here I've stated one example. Example, if a new state is formed, Article 4 allows the Parliament to make necessary changes to the first schedule to include the new state's name and the fourth schedule to allocate seats in Rajya Sabha without going through the full constitutional amendment process. Now, Article 368 of the Indian Constitution, found in Part 20, outlines the power of Parliament to amend the Constitution and the procedure for doing so, allowing for additions, variations, or repeals of any provision. Now see, do laws made under Articles 2 and 3 amount to constitutional amendments? No, as stated in Article 4 of the 2. What does Article 1 of 3A state? The territory of India includes the states. What does Article 1 Clause 3B mention? It mentions about the union territories. Okay, there's a difference between 1 Clause 3A and 1 Clause 3B. What is included in the territory of India according to the Constitution? States, union territories, and any acquired territories. How many articles are there in Part 1 of the Constitution? There are 4 articles. Article 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which schedule of the Constitution lists the names of states and union territories? It is the first schedule. The first schedule names all the 28 states and all the 8 union territories. The names of all 28 states and the names of all union territories is contained in the first schedule of the Indian Constitution. Under which article can Parliament increase the area of any state? Yes, by Article 3. Which body has the power to change the name of a state? The Parliament under Article 3. What is required before introducing a bill to alter state boundaries? It is the recommendation of the President. Does the Constitution allow for merger of states? Yes, under Article 3. All these things are very, very important. Time and again, repeatedly, I have been mentioning about the different articles. So I repeat once again, question number 73. What does the Constitution allow for the merger of states? Yes, it is allowed under Article 3. Who decides the name and boundaries of Indian states? It is the Parliament. Which article allows Parliament to diminish the area of a state? It is Article 3. So, two things. Article 3 can diminish the area of a state. Article 3 can enhance or enlarge the area of a state. Is the consent of the state necessary to change its name? No. Only the President's recommendation is needed. What kind of bill is required to change a state's area or boundary? A bill introduced in Parliament with the President's recommendation. Which article allows Parliament to create a new union territory? It is Article 2. Which article allows Parliament to create a new union territory? It is Article 2. What is the procedure to change the boundaries of a union territory? Parliament can do so under Article 3. Question number 18. Is Article 3 applicable to both states and union territories? Yes, Article 3 is applicable for both states and union territories. Does Article 4 require a constitutional amendment procedure? No. It can be done through a simple majority in Parliament. What does Article 4 Clause 1 state? It states about the laws made under Articles 2 and 3 may include necessary changes in the first and fourth schedules. What does Part 2 of the Indian Constitution deal with? Part 2 of the Indian Constitution deals with citizenship. Okay? Which part deals with citizenship? Part 2. And which articles are covered under Part 2 of the Constitution? Article 5 to 11. Now we'll see each and every article from 5 to 11 elaborately. Which article defines citizenship at the commencement of the Constitution? Article 5. Now, what is this Article 5? Article 5 of the Indian Constitution dealing with citizenship, at the commencement of the Constitution states that every person with a domicile in India and who meets certain criteria, both in India, parent born in India, birth in India, parent born in India, or ordinary residence for at least 5 years is a citizen of India. Now, let me read this Article 5 once again for you. Article 5 of the Indian Constitution dealing with citizenship at the commencement of the Constitution states that every person with a domicile in India and who meets certain criteria, means he has taken birth in India, parent born in India, or ordinary residence for at least 5 years, is a citizen of India. That was stated in Article 5. Now, which article provides for rights of citizenship of certain persons who have migrated to India from Pakistan? It is Article 6. Article 6 of the Indian Constitution addresses the citizenship rights of individuals who migrated to India from the territory now included in Pakistan, granting citizenship to those who meet specific conditions, including birth in India or registration as a citizen. Question number 87. Under which article are rights of citizenship of migrants to Pakistan covered? Article 7. Now, what is this Article 7? Article 7 of the Indian Constitution deals with the rights of citizenship for certain migrants to Pakistan, stating that those who migrated after 1st March 1947 are not considered Indian citizens, with exceptions for those who return with permits. Which article talks about citizenship for persons of Indian origin residing outside India? That is stated in Article 8. Now, Article 8 of the Indian Constitution deals with the citizenship rights of individuals of certain Indian origin residing outside India, who or whose parents or grandparents were born in India as defined in the Government of India Act 1935. Which article states that no person can be a citizen of India if they have voluntarily acquired the citizenship of foreign state, thus preventing dual citizenship? Article 9. Now, to explain you Article 9, suppose you left India and you have settled in the United States or any other country. So, if you take the citizenship of that particular country, then you are not allowed to be a citizen of India. That is stated in Article 9. Which article states that every person who is or is deemed to be a citizen of India under the provisions of Part 2 shall continue to be such a citizen? This is Article 10. Which article gives Parliament the power to make laws regarding citizenship? It is Article 11. Article 11 states that the Constitution of India empowers the Parliament to regulate the right of citizenship by law, including matters related to acquisition and termination of citizenship. Question number 92. Which article discusses the rights of citizenship of persons who have migrated to India from Pakistan before July 1948? This is stated in Article 6. Question number 93. Under which article can citizenship be regulated by law? It is Article 11. Question number 94. Which article deals with the continuation of citizenship for those domiciled in India? Is Article 5. Which article deals with the citizenship rights of people who migrated to Pakistan but later returned to India? Article 7. First, he went to Pakistan and then he returned back to India. That is contained in Article 7. Which part of the Constitution deals with citizenship provision at the time of commencement? It is Part 2. 97. On which date was the Indian Constitution enforced, making citizenship provisions effective? It was 26 January 1950. This is very, very important question. So many times this has been asked in SSC, TPS examination. On which date was the Indian Constitution enforced, making citizenship provisions effective? It was on 26 January 1950. Question number 98. Which article allows people of Indian origin residing outside India to acquire citizenship? It is Article 8. Who has the power to regulate the acquisition and termination of citizenship in India? It is the Parliament under Article 11. So, which article ensures that laws made by Parliament on citizenship override earlier provisions? It's Article 11. So, Article 11 has vested lot of powers in the hands of our Parliament. Under which article can persons domiciled in India at the commencement of the Constitution be citizens? It is Article 5. In the word citizen defined in the Constitution of India, is the word citizen defined in the Constitution of India? The question is the word citizen defined in the Constitution of India? The answer is no. Only provisions related to citizenship are given. What is the significance of 19th July 1948 in Article 6? It is the cutoff date for the migration from Pakistan to India for claiming citizenship. Which act presently governs the acquisition and termination of Indian citizenship? It is the Citizenship Act 1955. How many articles are there in Part 2 of the Indian Constitution? There are 7 articles. Articles 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So there are 7 articles in Part 2 of the Indian Constitution. 106. Is dual citizenship allowed under the Indian Constitution? No. India does not allow dual citizenship. 107. Which article covers the rights of people who return to India under a permit for resettlement? Article 7. The term domicile is significant in which article of Part 2? It is in Article 5. Question number 109. Is the term Overseas Citizen of India, OCI, mentioned in Part 2 of the Constitution? No, it is introduced under the Citizenship Act 1955 by amendment. Can Parliament override the provisions of Articles 5 to 10? Yes, under Article 11. So, 111. What does Part 3 of the Indian Constitution deal with? It's the fundamental rights. Today we were discussing about different parts of the Indian Constitution, and we were discussing about Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. Part 3 of the Indian Constitution deals with fundamental rights. Which part of the Indian Constitution deals with fundamental rights? It's Part 3. Which articles are covered under Part 3? Articles 12 to Article 35. Which article defines the term state? It's Article 12. Article 12 of the Indian Constitution defines the term state for the purpose of enforcing fundamental rights, encompassing the government and Parliament of India, the government and legislature of each state, and all local or other authorities within India or under the control of the government of India. This is Article 12. Which article of the Indian Constitution is a cornerstone of judicial review and declares that any law inconsistent with or in derogation of fundamental rights is void, must no longer be accepted, ensuring the supremacy of the Constitution and safeguarding citizens' rights? It's there in Article 13. Question number 116. What are the 6 fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution? The 6 fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution are: first one, the right to equality, which is there in Articles 14 to 18. There are 5 articles. Right to freedom, Articles 19, 20, 21, and 22. There are 4 articles. Then right against exploitation, Articles 23 and 24. There are 2 articles regarding rights against exploitation. Right to freedom of religion is Articles 25 to 28. There are 4 articles. Cultural and educational rights, Article 29 and 30. And there are 2 articles in cultural and educational rights. And the right to constitutional remedies, we have got 1 article, that is Article 32. Question number 117. Which article guarantees the right to equality before the law? It is Article 14. We are all equal before the eyes of law. It is stated in Article 14. And Article 14 of the Indian Constitution guarantees equality before the law and equal protection of the laws to all persons within the territory of India, ensuring fair and non-discriminatory treatment under the legal system. 118. Which article prohibits discrimination on certain grounds? Article 15. Article 15 of the Constitution of India prohibits discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, and empowers the state to make special provisions for women, children, and socially and economically disadvantaged groups. Question number 118. Which article provides for equality of opportunity in public employment? It is Article 16. Article 16 of the Indian Constitution ensures equal opportunities for all citizens in matters of public employment, prohibiting discrimination based on religion, race, caste, sex, descent, place of birth, or residence. Which article abolishes untouchability? Article 17. Article 17 of the Indian Constitution, part of the right to equality, abolishes untouchability in all its forms and makes its enforcement an offense punishable by law. Now, which article abolishes titles except military or academic distinctions? It's Article 18. Article 18 of the Indian Constitution, also known as abolition of titles, prohibits the state from conferring titles except military or academic distinctions and prevents Indian citizens from accepting titles from foreign states, as well as non-citizens, including holding office under the state, from accepting titles from foreign states without the president's consent. Which article guarantees the right to freedom of speech and expression? It is Article 19, Clause 1A. Article 19, Clause 1A of the Indian Constitution guarantees the fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression to all citizens, encompassing various forms of expression like writing, speech, and visual representation, but subject to reasonable restrictions. Question number 123. Which article of the Indian Constitution guarantees the right to assemble peacefully and without arms, allowing citizens to hold public meetings, processions, and demonstrations? But this right is subject to reasonable restrictions in the interest of public order and the sovereignty and integrity of India. It is Article 19, Clause 1B. Which article of the Indian Constitution guarantees the fundamental right to all citizens to form associations or unions, including cooperative societies? It is Article 19, Clause 1C. Question number 125. Which article of the Indian Constitution guarantees the right to move freely throughout the territory of India, meaning citizens can travel and relocate anywhere within the country without restrictions, subject to reasonable limitations? This is Article Clause 1D. Question number 126. Which article guarantees the right to reside and settle in any part of India? It's Article 19, Clause 1E. 127. Which article of the Indian Constitution initially guaranteed the right to acquire, hold, and dispose of property, but was removed as a fundamental right by the 44th Amendment in 1978 and replaced with Article 300A. Article 300A, which now deals with property rights as legal right. That was there, Article 91, Clause 1F. Which article ensures protection in respect of conviction for offences? It is Article 20. And what Article 20 says? Article 20 of the Indian Constitution protects people from unjust convictions. It guarantees fundamental rights, including the right against self-incrimination, the protection against double jeopardy, and prohibition of ex post facto laws. Under which article is the protection of life and personal liberty granted? Article 21. Article 21 of the Indian Constitution guarantees the fundamental right to life and personal liberty, stating that no person shall be deprived of their life or personal liberty except according to a procedure established by law. And which article grants the right to education as a fundamental right? Article 21A. Is very important article. Article 21A of the Indian Constitution inserted by the 86th Amendment Act of 2002 guarantees the right to free and compulsory education for all children ages 6 to 14 years, making it a fundamental right. I repeat this question once again, question number 130. Which article grants the right to education as a fundamental right? Article 21A. Article 21A of the Indian Constitution, inserted by the 86th Amendment Act of 2002, guarantees the right to free and compulsory education for all children aged 6 to 14 years, making it a fundamental right. So this way, dear boys and girls, we could complete 130 questions from Constitution. And if you remember, last Tuesday also we did 130 questions. Likewise, we will all become expert in Constitution. We will all be very much vibrant with all the articles enshrined in the Constitution, including schedules and amendments. I hope all of you have followed the class. And a short while from now, I'll be sending this in the PDF form to your WhatsApp group, to all the WhatsApp group, and all of you will read them again and again to remember all the facts. Okay? Okay, all of you?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
You
Thank you,
understood?
sir.
You understood? What
Yes.
do I mean,
Yes,
sir?
Yes, sir.
Every
Yes,
article, everything is so important. If you read this thing again and again, you will remember, and this will remain in this WhatsApp group. Whenever you feel to read, you must read it, and not only read it, but you must also remember them. And we'll provide the hard copies to you whenever you are there in the on Saturday. Most of you have classes on Saturday. We'll give you the hard copy of this entire study material that we discussed on Constitution today. Thank you all of you for attending this class of ours. And we'll have
Thank you,
our
sir.
history class again on Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks to
Thank
all.
you, sir.
Thanks to all for attending.